The Daedalian Fix, Part 1, The Catch. Chapter 1, The Fixer. Big puffy white clouds slide across the sky, a reluctant procession. Low on the horizon, one of them wanders over to block the dawning blue light of Rayrig Prime. The cloud's irregular shadow darkens a quarter of the city. A wind picks up and blows stinging drifts of snow through the early morning streets. The temperature drops by a few degrees. Fast-walking rush-hour crowds slow down to brace themselves. Collars get pulled tighter to protect against the painful, icy spray. Street-side fry cooks stand just a bit closer to their grills. In a touristy part of town, near a loading dock on the side of a 100-year-old skyscraper, a long sewer grate vents smoky, life-saving heat over and around several cardboard shelters. Somehow, wind-blown ice finds its way into one of the shelters to bring little pinpricks of pain to a slumbering face etched deep with cavernous wrinkles. The sharp cold of the icy spray disturbs the sleeper's dreaming mind. He begins to wake, his awareness rising through levels of consciousness like a slow-moving elevator. His eyelids twitch, shock-white bushy eyebrows squirm. Under a shaggy ivory mustache, his mouth works out its sleepy stiffness. His tongue searches, feels the funk as a solid growth on his teeth and gums. His overgrown beard moves around with his jaw, covers the entire front of his neck like a thick tangle of vines. He smacks his dark charcoal lips as he works the heavy stink off his tongue, scratches his groin under 3 pairs of pants, thermal leggings, and boxers, shifts his legs, rubs old worn boots on the sewer grate with a dull, repetitive clang, opens his eyes. Feverish, bloodshot orbs wrapped around irises, deep and clear like silver-lined wells, his pupils like shrunken spots of night. He glares through a break in the makeshift shelter, not focused on anything, or rather, focused on what lies beyond the here and now. He was dreaming of the past before he woke. Tomorrow morning, he'll watch a newscast while sitting at the front counter in Gary's diner. Gary will pour him his first coffee of the day. The news will report the death of a promising young designer. Apparently, she'll be so overcome by the possibility of losing the business of her latest, most lucrative client, she'll throw herself from a great height for fear of the end of her career, her life's passion. Curiously, no suicide note will be found. Still lying on his side, he reaches up and scratches his neck, rubs his face, reaches under his 2 hats and through matted woolly hair to scratch his head. Then, with balled fists and arms out straight, he arches his back to stretch the last bits of sleep out of his long, stilt-like body. A grunt of pleasure escapes his cracked, peeling lips. He sits up and rubs his eyes with fingerless gloves over dirty, calloused hands. The cardboard shelter, now forced apart by its risen tenant, ushers in a blast of cold to combat the fetid heat steaming up from the sewer below. He shivers and turns away from the street, stands and undoes the bindings on his 3 pants, pulls down his leggings, then his boxers, and drains a vigorous yellow stream onto the sewer grate. His wastewater makes small crackling sounds as it splashes on metal. Crowds of people walk by, pretending not to notice. He shakes free the last bits of liquid, lifts his undergarments, and rebinds his 3 pairs of pants. Later this morning, the promising young designer wakes with a start. Head on the drafting board, mouth open, dry. Her latest commission hangs across the room in the corner of her bright, austere workplace. It is a dress of the most exact construction, tailored for a wealthy and influential bride-to-be, 40 minutes uptown. The young designer has 30 minutes to get there. After a brisk cleaning of the dried mucus from her sleep-numbed face, she pushes back from the drafting table and spins around to begin the search for her winter gear. She grabs her water-repellent boots first, hops on one leg and then the other as she pulls them on. She throws on a sweater and then her smart-fitted waistcut overcoat, grabs her purse, and runs out the door. 4 steps from the door, she remembers the dress. Back at the door, she grabs the doorknob and roughly turns it to no effect. Confused, she looks down and notices the keyhole in the knob for the 1000th time. Right, not a biometric reader in the entire building. Rummaging through her purse for the keys to the door, she curses the day she signed the lease for this place. No discount is worth getting used to carrying and using keys, and her mind goes blank with shock. She can't find them. She can't find the keys. She rips the purse open in a panic, dumps everything at the foot of the door. Nothing. She tries all the zippered pockets. Still nothing. An image flashes in her mind of the keys lying on the table next to the inside of the door. She screams in frustration and kicks the door, jams her toe, screams in pain, and falls to her rump. Her face a quivering pout. Her eyes glisten with growing tears. Then an idea strikes her. Her workplace is at the end of the hall. She looks to her right and sees a window with a fire escape. A few moments pass, and then she laughs. She'll really have to get a workshop in a modern building. She had just considered going out on an ancient fire escape in the dead of winter to try to shimmy around on an icy ledge to get to her workspace's side window in some crazy attempt to salvage this meeting with her client. She shakes her head. She'll just have to call and reschedule the meeting for a little later in the morning, and hope for the best. Hope that the wealthy and influential bride-to-be won't ruin her reputation and end her career. That's hoping for a miracle, really, but she has to at least make the effort to salvage something out of oversleeping this morning. She reaches over to grab her S-Link from the litter of things she poured to the floor from her purse. A ball of anxiety sits tight in the middle of her chest. She'll have to call her assistant to bring over the spare key for the workshop, which will take more time. Earlier this morning, in the bright cerulean light of Rayrig Prime, no one meets his eye as he shuffles along the bustling walkway. People avoid him instinctively. They cover their noses or turn their heads, fearful that he'll smell. 2 weeks from now, he'll be standing with his boots ankle deep in a soft snowdrift. Across the street, a mob of people will crowd around a number of cordoned-off emergency vehicles. Lights will flash on grim faces. Protected from the cold of today by heat venting from the laundromat now beside him, he shivers from the chill of a blustery wind he won't feel for many days. Over a fence of restricted access tape not yet hung, he sees investigators and coroners streaming in and out of the entrance to a posh, multi-story apartment complex, carrying black evidence bags of various sizes out to official transports. 2 weeks from now, at a posh, multi-story apartment complex, an accountant for a high-profile financial company will come home early from work to find his beautiful wife of 5 months in bed, enthusiastically playing host to a man he has never seen. The energetic lovers won't even notice that he has come in, watching the exhibition with a stone-like countenance. Something inside the accountant will break. A subtle change will alter his features, and without saying a word, he'll go to his den, retrieve a loaded pistol from a locked drawer in his heavy wooden desk, walk back up to his bedroom, and shoot the 2 lovers dead, screaming incoherently with every shot. Then, in an increasingly disturbed state of mind, he will drag their lifeless bodies down to the kitchen and hack them to pieces. A neighbor will knock at the front door, insistent. The neighbor will be the hero type and will want to make sure that everything is well with the accountant and his beautiful wife of 5 months. If things aren't right, the neighbor will make them so. The accountant will answer the door and without hesitation shoot the neighbor dead. The neighbor had always given his beautiful wife of 5 months a look that spoke of lustful desires. 2 doors down the hall, the old shrewish wife of a former city councilman will stand unmoving, a garbage bag in each hand. Her mouth will hang open in shock at the brutal violence she'll have just been witness to. Against her husband's wishes, she'll have decided to take out the trash as a visible excuse to see what all the noise in the hallway is about. The accountant will see her. She'll try to flee, but the accountant's bullets will be too fast, his aim too true. Seconds later, the accountant will be kicking the bloody, unresponsive body of the former city councilman's wife while screaming incoherently the entire time. The old woman had always been too nosy for her own good. The sound of a door slamming will interrupt the accountant's unintelligible tirade. It'll be the former city councilman. The accountant will remember how he always politely endured the old man's unbearably inane small talk, his greasy politician's smile. The accountant will make his way to the former councilman's door. At the end of a tense, 11-hour standoff with the law, the accountant will be incapacitated by a talented sniper and taken into custody to await trial for the murder of 17 of his neighbors, in addition to his beautiful wife of 5 months and her lover. During the trial, it'll be revealed that the accountant had been embezzling hundreds of millions of zhath from the retirement accounts he had managed for his company for years. Another criminal trial will be arranged by his former employer for his financial misdeeds. Unfortunately, the money will have been tied up in a vast number of complicated investments and will be impossible to return to the victimized retirees.